He doesn't chase, he doesn't explain, he simply sets the boundary and watches what crosses it. In a hyper-connected world obsessed with attention and approval, the Sigma male is an enigma. You won't find him posting thirst traps or obsessing over replies. He operates in silence, moves with intention, and holds an internal compass that doesn't sway with trends or validation. This is precisely what makes him magnetic. Psychologically, boundaries are a form of self-respect, and the Sigma male has mastered this art. He doesn't set boundaries to manipulate, he sets them to protect his peace. Modern psychology supports that clear personal boundaries promote mental well-being, emotional independence, and healthy relationships. The Sigma male doesn't just understand this, he embodies it. When he withdraws, it's not a power play, it's a calibration of energy. He knows his value and doesn't hand it out like flyers on a street corner. This restraint, this rare blend of emotional discipline and mystery, creates a gravitational pull. Women feel it, not because he overwhelms them with attention, but because he doesn't. In an age where oversharing is the norm, his quiet control feels like an oasis. He's not cold, he's composed. He's not detached, he's deliberate. And the moment someone tries to cross a line, whether it's disrespect, manipulation, or chaos, he doesn't react with drama. He simply exits. That's power. Not the kind you flaunt, but the kind you feel. His boundaries are not walls to keep others out, but filters to let the right people in, and that subtle distinction is everything. Women don't chase Sigma males because they're emotionally unavailable. They're drawn to them because they're emotionally sovereign. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to disturb. In a noisy world, the Sigma male's silence speaks louder than 1,000 words. And once you've heard it, you never forget the sound. Boundary 1. Access is earned, not given. He doesn't respond to every call, every text, or every emotional plea for attention, and that silence, far from being a cold shoulder, speaks volumes. This isn't about arrogance or playing hard to get. It's about establishing psychological boundaries that communicate value. A Sigma male's time is guarded like a rare currency, and his energy isn't dispensed just because someone demands it. This kind of restraint sends a powerful, often subconscious message to a woman. In psychology, this ties closely with the scarcity principle, a cognitive bias where we tend to assign more value to things that are less available. When he doesn't instantly respond or react, it doesn't convey disinterest. It builds mystery and raises his perceived worth. Women instinctively pick up on this. His absence creates space for desire to grow and for curiosity to intensify. She begins to wonder what he's doing, who he's with, and why he's not instantly available like others might be. And in that wondering, attraction brews. Evolutionary psychology also plays a role here. Throughout history, individuals who exuded self-sufficiency and control have been viewed as high status, traits that signal strength, stability, and security. By not making her the center of his universe, he's subtly showing that he doesn't hurt her to feel complete. And paradoxically, that independence makes her want to be a part of his world even more. It's a dynamic that reverses the chase. Instead of begging for attention, he sets the tone, and she leans in. His presence becomes something to earn, not assume, and that shift is magnetic. In a world addicted to instant responses and constant digital noise, the Sigma male's restraint is like a breath of fresh air, cool, controlled, and unmistakably attractive. His silence is not absence, it's a boundary, and boundaries, when held with confidence, don't repel, they captivate. Boundary 2, he doesn't enter emotional chaos. Drama, manipulation, and emotional roller coasters, these are the weapons often used in the battlefield of emotional control. But the Sigma male doesn't engage. He sees them clearly, names them for what they are, and steps around them like a man walking through a minefield, careful not to trigger an explosion. Unlike most men who might take the bait and get drawn into endless debates, toxic confrontations, or gaslighting spirals, the Sigma operates on an entirely different frequency. His response is not rage, retaliation, or justification, it's absence. His boundary is not enforced through shouting or ultimatums, it's enforced through silence. This is not avoidance, it's strategic disengagement. Psychology calls this a gray rock technique, used by emotionally intelligent individuals to remain unreactive in the face of manipulation. When someone thrives on attention and chaos, the most effective weapon against them is indifference. The Sigma knows this instinctively. His silence is louder than words. It creates space for truth to echo. His absence is not a retreat, it is a statement, one that says, wait, I do not entertain dysfunction. For women accustomed to reactive partners, this silence is deafening. It confronts them with their own behavior. It removes the drama supply chain. And in that vacuum, the Sigma's exit stings more than any heated argument ever could. Neuroscience backs this up. When emotional stimuli are removed abruptly, the brain experiences a kind of withdrawal. It's not the closure she expected, it's the mirror she never wanted to look into. The Sigma male doesn't burn bridges. He simply crosses them quietly with dignity and doesn't look back. His absence becomes presence, his silence becomes a message. And in that moment, she doesn't just lose the argument, she loses access. That's what makes the Sigma's boundaries so powerful. They're not written in words, but in actions, not declared, but demonstrated, and once they're enforced, they leave no room for negotiation. Boundary 3, he does not abandon his mission. She might want more time, more commitment, more compromise. But the Sigma male operates on a different frequency, one that prioritizes purpose over pleasure and mission over momentary desire. This isn't about arrogance or emotional detachment, it's about living in alignment with one's inner compass. The Sigma male is deeply focused on his goals, whether they involve building a business, mastering a craft, or transforming his body and mind. Psychology backs this up. Studies in evolutionary biology show that women are often attracted to men with clear ambition and purpose. It signals stability, leadership, and confidence, qualities that hint at long-term survivability and success. When a man is unshakably focused, it creates a gravitational pull that doesn't just command attention, it earns respect. A Sigma doesn't ask for validation. His discipline speaks for itself. And in a world full of men eager to please, his refusal to compromise on his path sets him apart. This doesn't mean he lacks the ability to love or commit, but his boundaries are firm. He will not water himself down to fit into a relationship that doesn't respect his drive. In fact, his restraint is what makes him magnetic. Women may initially feel frustrated by his emotional distance or the way he disappears into his passions, but deep down, many admire the unwavering vision. They might not admit it openly, but it's that very discipline that separates him from the crowd. He becomes more than just a man. He becomes a force of nature. Like a mountain that doesn't move for storms, he remains rooted in purpose. And because he does not chase, he is often the one being pursued. That doesn't make him heartless, it makes him rare. In a society where people often sacrifice their dreams to maintain comfort, the Sigma male is a reminder that greatness demands solitude, focus, and sometimes even loss. His path isn't easy. It's filled with long nights, isolation, and choices others won't understand. But he knows. A man who abandons his mission for momentary affection will eventually lose both. So while she may ask for more of him, he remains committed first to the fire inside him. And ironically, it's that very commitment that draws others to his flame. Boundary 4, he refuses to be defined by her expectations. He won't become what she fantasizes. He won't act out a role. He shows up as he is, unfiltered, unapologetic. And that self-possession is intoxicating. What makes this so magnetic is the way it defies a deeply ingrained social pattern. In modern relationships, especially in the age of social media and hyper-personal branding, many people subconsciously perform. They mold themselves into idealized versions, curated for approval, validation, or admiration. But a Sigma male refuses to play that game. He doesn't twist himself into her fantasy or rewrite his personality to gain favor. His identity is not a script to be edited for someone else's expectations. Psychology refers to this as authenticity, a trait that's been linked to higher emotional intelligence, confidence, and even greater relationship satisfaction. And ironically, it's this refusal to conform that becomes so captivating. Why? Because humans are drawn to mystery and confidence. When a man doesn't seek approval, he communicates that his worth is innate, not dependent on outside affirmation. This creates a paradoxical effect. The more indifferent he is to impressing her, the more intriguing he becomes. It's what psychologists call the scarcity principle. People value what seems rare, and authenticity in today's world is rare. When she realizes she can't control the narrative, when he doesn't bend to her expectations, doesn't chase, doesn't over-explain or over-apologize, she begins to feel the gravitational pull of his grounded presence. It challenges her, maybe even frustrates her, but it also fascinates her. She may test him, try to provoke an emotional performance, or attempt to draw out reactions, but his centered calm remains. He doesn't retaliate or retreat. He simply exists with unshaken composure, like a mountain amid shifting winds, and that steadiness creates psychological safety, even in its unpredictability. She doesn't know what move he'll make next, but she knows he won't compromise who he is. This isn't arrogance, it's sovereignty. He belongs to himself first. That kind of man can't be manipulated with charm or controlled with flattery. And when a woman realizes she's dealing with someone who's not participating in the emotional economy of give to get, it disarms her. In a world obsessed with control, filters, and roles, the raw, unpolished truth of a man who refuses to pretend stands out like fire in the dark. He becomes unforgettable, not because he tried to be, but because he never tried at all. Boundary 5. He doesn't chase closure. If she pulls away, plays games, or tries to manipulate him by creating emotional distance, the Sigma male doesn't chase, complain, or fall into emotional traps. He simply watches in silence, offering no resistance to her departure. There's no pleading, no dramatic confrontation, and no desperate explanations, just a calm acceptance that radiates an unshakable self-respect. This response isn't born from indifference. It's a calculated understanding of value, boundaries, and emotional sovereignty. The Sigma male understands that love, to be genuine, must be freely given, not coerced or earned through emotional tug-of-war. And when someone begins to test those boundaries through manipulation or power games, his instinct is not to correct them, but to protect his peace. Women who are used to men chasing them when they play hard to get often find this lack of reaction jarring. They expect a pursuit, but instead, he offers them the unexpected, complete freedom to walk away. This disarming silence often becomes louder than any words could be. Psychology tells us that people often crave what they can't control, and the Sigma male's refusal to play along turns the table. In fact, this is rooted in the psychological principle of reactance, where people become more attracted to what seems unavailable or emotionally elusive. But the Sigma male isn't trying to be elusive. He simply lives by an inner code that says, if you don't value me, you don't get access to me. That kind of boundary setting is rare, especially in a world filled with validation-seeking behavior. It's not about arrogance, it's about emotional discipline and self-worth. His silence, his stillness, his willingness to let go with grace, it becomes haunting. Because long after the moment passes, she remembers it. She replays the way he didn't fight, didn't beg, and didn't plead. And that memory lingers. It challenges her idea of power in relationships. This is where many women realize he's not like the rest. He's different. He's not interested in winning someone who disrespects his energy. He doesn't fear loss, he fears self-betrayal, and when someone lives with that level of inner strength, they become unforgettable. Not because of what they said, but because of what they refuse to tolerate. Boundary 6. He keeps his world private. He doesn't share his next move. His ambitions, his routines, his internal life, it's not for everyone. He moves in silence, and that mystery is irresistible. A woman who tries to figure him out finds herself intrigued, invested, and chasing clarity she may never get. This isn't accidental, it's the natural result of a man who has mastered self-containment. In a world obsessed with broadcasting every thought, every meal, and every plan on social media, the Sigma male chooses silence. Not because he's hiding something, but because he knows that real power lies in unpredictability. Psychology calls this the appeal of the unknown. Studies have shown that uncertainty can increase attraction. When someone is hard to read, the brain fixates on trying to decode them, creating a loop of mental investment. This is why silence can often speak louder than word. For a Sigma male, silence is not passive, it's strategic. It allows him to observe, to listen, and to calculate while others reveal their hand too early. He knows that when you let people speak, they show you who they are. And when you stay quiet, they begin to project onto you, filling in the blanks with fascination, fear, or admiration. To women, this unreadable nature becomes intoxicating. They aren't handed a pre-written script of his life. Instead, they're handed a puzzle, one they feel compelled to solve. Yet no matter how close they get, the Sigma keeps something to himself. He's not emotionally unavailable. He's selectively available. His vulnerability isn't for public display, but for those rare few who earn his trust. This elevates his value not because he plays games, but because he's not driven by validation. His focus is internal. He's working on things, building his future, refining his mind, pursuing a mission. And because he doesn't advertise it, his every move becomes more powerful, more intentional. Like a chess master planning 6 steps ahead, his quiet confidence makes others lean in. Women don't just want to know what he's doing, they want to know what he's thinking. And that's where the power lies. Mystery isn't about manipulation. It's about having something sacred within you that not everyone gets access to. That kind of man doesn't just attract attention, he commands it without even trying. Boundary 7. He demands respect, not worship. He doesn't need flattery or constant praise. Compliments don't move him, truth does. But make no mistake, he notices disrespect immediately and he has no interest in entertaining it. You won't see him argue, beg, or raise his voice. His power lies in his silence and his detachment. The moment a subtle jab is thrown, a manipulative comment is made, or a dose of passive aggression slips into the conversation, he doesn't emotionally react. He physically distances himself. This isn't avoidance, it's a deliberate recalibration. In psychology, this is often referred to as strategic withdrawal, a technique used by emotionally intelligent individuals who refuse to enable toxic behavior. Sigma males, by their very nature, understand the laws of social energy. They know that tolerating disrespect even once sets a precedent, so they draw a hard line. Respect is not negotiable. This immediate disengagement sends a silent but powerful message. It rewires the entire dynamic between him and the other person. Suddenly, the manipulator is disarmed, the game falls flat, and the balance of power shifts. This isn't about ego, it's about boundaries. Sociologists have observed that individuals who maintain strong personal boundaries are often more respected, even by those who initially try to test them. This is what makes Sigma males so different. They don't seek control over others, but they maintain complete control over themselves. That's intimidating to those who rely on emotional tactics to manipulate. He doesn't give warnings or second chances for low-key disrespect. His retreat is not a punishment, it's a statement. And when he steps back, others are forced to step up or step aside. In a world obsessed with validation and people-pleasing, his refusal to compromise self-respect is revolutionary. It teaches people without a word that access to his presence is a privilege, not a right. And that privilege can be revoked the moment someone believes respect is optional. So, if you ever wonder why he suddenly goes quiet or disappears, it's not confusion, it's clarity. He's already made a decision. Boundary 8, he will walk alone without hesitation. If the relationship starts to cost him his peace, identity, or direction, he leaves. No announcement, no meltdown, just distance. Because the Sigma male understands something most people overlook. Peace is not a luxury, it's a non-negotiable. He knows that once a relationship begins to compromise his inner stability, it's no longer love, it's emotional debt. There's no dramatic exit, no need to explain. He simply reclaims his solitude like a warrior returning to sacred ground. Psychology backs this up. Men who are secure in solitude tend to have stronger self-concepts and healthier boundaries. The Sigma thrives alone, not because he's antisocial, but because he understands the power in detachment. When most are scrambling for validation, he's refueling in silence. And this makes him dangerously grounded. While others fear being alone and attach their worth to external relationships, the Sigma turns solitude into strength. This self-reliance makes him unforgettable. People may not understand his silence, but they'll never forget how it felt when he left. That distance? It's not coldness, it's clarity. And in that clarity, the Sigma male becomes more than just a man. He becomes a symbol of what it means to never compromise your core for temporary company. He isn't antisocial, he's social, an important distinction rooted in psychology. Sigma males aren't withdrawn or aloof because they dislike people, they simply value depth over noise. In social settings, the Sigma observes before acting, analyzing human behavior like a scientist watching patterns unfold. While alpha males dominate the spotlight and beta males seek approval, the Sigma walks an independent path, thriving in solitude but never isolated. His friendships are earned, not given, and his romantic interests are built on consistency, not charm. Neurologically, this selectiveness is tied to higher sensitivity in the brain's mirror neuron system. He picks up on subtle cues, making it easy for him to spot manipulation or performative behavior. When a Sigma disappears, it's rarely drama. It's data, a measured decision to protect his peace. This discipline is magnetic. Women remember him because of his silence, his standards, his calm detachment. The Sigma male doesn't chase. He attracts by becoming the rarest presence in the room. He transforms boundaries into an energy field, drawing in those who resonate with truth and pushing away the superficial. And while his path is quiet, its impact echoes. You don't forget a Sigma. You realize too late you were in the presence of power.